up internet, and welcome back to another video. This week we've got something a little bit different. Going to do a live commentary on a painting instead of the traditional time lapses I've done in the past. I've had a lot of questions over the last couple of months since I've uploaded my first glass painting on different tips and tricks and exactly how I did that. So that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. So I've got two different glass panels. This one is more mounted on an actual frame, whereas this one is it's essentially got a window that you can unlock, which is kind of cool. So the idea is you're meant to place a photo in there and seal it back up. But as you've seen in previous videos and artwork of mine, I use these to paint on. So just creates a really interesting canvas to be able to paint on. So the first thing that I've done is come up with an idea. Basically going to just be painting this little scale character with these speed dealer glasses on. I don't know if speed dealers is an Australian thing, but for everyone else it's just like the seedy sunglasses that sketchy drug dealers wear. But I'm pretty much going to just start jumping straight into it. We'll mix up some paint and we'll get painting. Okay, so before we start mixing paint up, I just wanted to do a quick overview on what materials I'll be using for this piece and in this video. So first off, we've got a glass mixing palette. I actually had one that was about 3 times as large, but I recently broke it when I was cleaning it. I like to use glass. It's for the most part easiest to clean. Funnily enough, painting on glass, mixing on glass. But these I normally just get out of cheap frames from $2 shops and that sort of thing. They're normally, I don't know, a couple bucks. Paint wise, I'm painting in oil. I've been painting in oil for the last couple of years now, 2, maybe 3. It's by far my favourite painting medium, mainly just because of the drying time. I just love that it's so workable as opposed to acrylic. Here in Australia, Art Spectrum is a pretty cheap brand, but it's still quite decent quality, so that's normally what I run with. I've got some refined linseed oil for my mixing medium, as well as some pure gum turpentine. Now, there is artist grade quality terps that is completely odorless. If you can afford it, go for it. I normally just pick up one of these as it's like $15 for a litre, whereas the artist grade stuff runs a lot more expensive. And I just keep my studio space well ventilated. The pure gum turpentine is a lot less smelly than traditional terps. So if you're going to go that route, roll with pure gum. Sketchbook here, a little bit of a reference. Got a photo reference for the skull, but I'm not going to be too nitpicky about that. Just something to get my sort of basic form and function with. And brushes, I almost forgot. Let me grab some brushes. I actually recently just picked up some new brushes, which should be fun. I've had these for a couple months, not a couple months, I've had these for a couple days now, sorry. So I'm excited to give these a whirl. Same sort of deal. I normally go synthetic, get a nice mix of, well, natural and synthetic, as well as different shapes and sizes. To be honest, brushes are sort of up to the artist. I think they're more a direction of style and what you can achieve with them. You don't necessarily need a set list of brushes for what I'm going to be painting, but I like to have just a bunch of different sizes, a couple that are these little wedge shapes, and a couple of nice thin small brushes. Now that's it, let's get mixing. Okay, so when I'm mixing, I like to do what basically every other artist in the world likes to do when it comes to oil. Actually, I might have a titanium white already open.
Haha. And that is to lay out some paints onto the palette. And this once again is one of the nice benefits of working in oil, as it won't dry. In between painting sessions, I normally just cover this palette in a sheet of Glad wrap just to delay that drying time even longer, but normally because I'm working within a couple of days or whatever, I'm using that paint and then applying more paint to my canvas as I go, so it never really gets a chance to dry. 9 times out of 10, I'm just painting with primary colors and creating my different mixes from there. And plus a burnt umber as well. So we've got red, blue, a white. I guess I could give you the actual paint names there. What have we got? French ultramarine. We've got cadmium red, titanium white, cadmium yellow, and burnt umber. Now, when painting on glass, you actually have to, especially the first couple of layers, it's really important to let those dry completely before you further paint and further develop your piece. And that's because glass obviously has no texture, there's nothing for the paint to really grip onto. So the first layer that you put down is going to be super watery looking, super basic, and you need to wait that out and let it completely dry before you start building up your layers. The later layers is when you can start painting more wet on wet, and you can actually start developing some different tones and gradients, highlights, shadows, all that good stuff. Almost forgot about the palette knife. Palette knife, super versatile tool, excellent for mixing, great for painting. Everyone's got to have one. So when it comes to my mixing medium, I start off by adding a small amount of linseed oil, which you increase the more layers that you put down, and a small amount of gum turpentine to thin the paint and allow it to be mixed, since oil paint is not water soluble like acrylic paint is. So, my palette knife's a bit busted up. This first mix I'm going to do is going to be pretty basic. Just going to create some real simple light and dark grey tones, which I normally do by adding a little bit of everything together. So a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of the cadmium yellow, a little bit of the French ultramarine, a little bit of the cadmium red, just working that paint together nicely with the palette knife here, and then we can start adding in some of the titanium white, seeing how our mix is looking. Honestly, it looks pretty decent for our first pass. It's quite warm, which is fine. Not actually too sure how out there I'm going to get with the colours. Last skull I painted was before my last gallery show, and I painted it in these really cool and blue neutral tones. So might mix that up this time and go a bit warmer with my colours, and then also have some sort of crazy lens in the glasses of the speed dealers, just to kind of make it a little bit of fun. For now, that's perfect.
should have done this a little bit earlier, but I've just placed a little sheet of paper under my glass palette because, as you can see, my desk has seen some stuff over its life. But yes, we'll jump into painting. I normally like to just pick up a little bit of that mixing medium, especially with these brushes since they're brand new. Now I'm basically just going to sketch out, for lack of a better term, my composition, start building up my darker tones and then starting to build up my lighter tones. As I said before, this first layer is going to be quite watery looking, and it's going to need to stay that way until it's completely dry. So this first stage, be super loose, just have fun with it, don't stress too much, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, my camera actually just died, so I'm not sure if that, not sure how much of that was actually recorded. Hopefully a decent amount. But I've just spent about 20 minutes here painting in this first base layer, and I can already tell it's getting to the point where there's not too much else I can do, because now I am essentially just spreading the paint around and nothing is blending, kind of taking off as much paint as I'm getting to actually stick to the glass. But this is what I was sort of talking about. So this sort of first layer, 20 minutes, really fast, don't stress too much about it. You can actually kind of like push off the paint off of the glass if need be, even just something like a paper towel. But essentially just starting to build up my different layers, my different tones. So my shadows, my highlights, and just sort of roughing in where I want everything to go. Since this this skull is going to have the glasses on as well, that will come at a later stage once I've painted everything in underneath, because I'll probably try and have some sections of the lens and that sort of thing where you can see through, like actual sunnies. So for now, that's about it. I'm going to leave this overnight. I'll come see where it's at tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I didn't plan on leaving this so long in between my first and second layer, but it's actually been about 5 days since I've put this first base layer down. So you can see it's completely dry to touch now. There's no wet spots at all. There's no paint coming off on my finger, which means we are good to go for the next layer. So I'm just going to start mixing up some paint. My first layer of paint, which I had on my palette here, did dry out, because even though I had it covered, it's been about a week and it was quite thin, but that's fine. I was going to probably mix up a slightly different color palette anyway for this second layer. Okay, now we should be good to start painting. Going to see how far we can push this second coat here. We should be able to get a decent amount of paint onto the canvas, since we actually had quite a decent first layer. It's not too many completely transparent sections. So using that same mix as before, also
which is just the refined linseed oil and the Gumtree turpentine. And I'm just going to get stuck into it. Okay, so we're at about 2 days. Yeah, 2 days since I painted the second layer. It's pretty much all dry to touch by finger now. There are a couple of slightly moist areas still, which I'm picking up on my finger, which is mainly these dark areas. But that's fine, I'm not too worried about those. Especially since today I'm going to be working on the lens in the glasses. We'll put that glide wrap aside and save that for later. And I also might just zoom in, yeah, like that. So these glasses are going to be kind of like festival glasses, kind of inspired by speed dealers and or like cycling style glasses. So for the lens themselves, I'm going to do like a soft gradient of primary colors. Some paper towel. Yeah, a bit of a soft gradient in the primary colors. Just really bright, kind of comical, I guess. And we'll go from there. So I'm just going to mix this blue up quite light. I definitely don't want it that dark. But, what am I missing? I'll make a bit of an orange as well. Get that kind of sunsetty look to the lens. And then kind of blend into cooler tones. And once again, I'm just going to brighten that up a little bit for our transition. And then I'm also going to just keep a little section of straight red and straight yellow. And we'll start with that and go from there. Just going to reset for the camera and we can start painting.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you like this style, this long format kind of video, let me know down below. And if you have any other questions or comments about what you've seen or what I've done, feel free to drop them below and I'll get back to you there also. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.